Hello and welcome to Activating Magic. I'm so excited. I already introduced you to Krista, but I'm so happy, Krista, that we get to do this. Krista Inochovsky Neeley is a transformational guide. She helps people have a freedom lifestyle, and we are going to dive into, Krista, I'd love to start with your journey. So we met, you radiate joy and magic, and I just really appreciated who you be in a space and in a room. And I didn't really ask you a lot about how you got into this line of work. So I would love to just start there.
All right. Um, my whole childhood and life was all about dancing. I knew from the beginning that I was going to be that dancing was my calling. My grandmother and her twin sister were professional dancers in vaudeville and in on Broadway back in the 30s. And it's what I did. And I was lucky enough to have a very long career. I was professional by the age of 15, danced professionally all while in college, even though I was studying marketing and business. I dove in and had a wonderful career as a dancer for about 20 years. That included commercial acting and MC, narration, all sorts of things like that. So having this, like, when you know who you are and you know what you're good at and you know what your calling is, like, that was amazing. And then it kind of probably fell off in the next phase of life of like trying other things and being encouraged. Maybe I think a stronger version of me would have been less persuaded as I was then now. Um, and it took me off of my identity of like who I am and how I show up in the world and where my value is. So I definitely had years of um, trying to figure that out, like being a working professional in a whole variety of ways.
Were you persuaded out of dancing because something wasn't working about it, or just other people had a different idea for you?
When I had kids, I have two amazing children, and it was just kind of maybe an encouragement to like, oh, maybe you should do more professional, like business type work, and that sort of thing. I
Got
take
it.
full accountability for all of my actions, so I'm just going to say that's what I was choosing to do. And it's this is still in my like mid 30s. I had a long career. I had a really good time. It was kind of like dancing in and out between performing and trying these other things. But that was probably the when I really recognized what it feels like to be out of alignment.
Hmm.
And over a course of years and things not going very well with my husband at the time, I really felt off center. Like in my head, I could see myself walking sideways. Like I was like this. And then it got
Wow.
where my analogy felt like Alice in Wonderland, where I'm like I didn't know what was up or down. And I really lost track of me. I will say throughout this time, I've continued learning and diving into um, all sorts of consciousness work and mindset and life coaching, and I could help other people and recognizing I was on the journey of helping myself. But just because you are introduced to something, it doesn't mean you can just snap it like that and turn
Mhm.
everything around. I really believe that life is a journey and that
Yeah.
there's a lot that we are meant to experience and do on our way to where we're headed.
One of
Um,
the things you said, Krista,
yeah.
around like I could help other people, but maybe not instantly applying it to myself, I think that's so normal.
Mhm.
And this is one of the things I talk about a lot when I encourage people to lead retreats is your magic will come through on in service of the people, right? Because we can learn more about how to use our own intuition to guide ourselves through the process of helping other people. And we kind of think we have to have it all figured out before we can be of service. So I love that you're bringing that up.
Yeah, I want to share that because I don't want people to think that you have to have it all 100% dialed in before you can share. I actually felt more on fire about sharing while I was going through my own elements because I was so committed to the process and I was feeling my own um, forward motion and my own growth and going through it. And it gave me even more aliveness to want to share it with other people.
Yes, I relate to that.
Yeah, and which is cool, right? That's it, it's amazing. You can teach things differently at different times in your life.
Do you
Uh,
remember how you learned about life coaching?
oh gosh, I mean, I remember being 19 or 20 years old and reading the book, The Seven Habits by
Mhm.
Stephen Cope. No, now I'm blanking on the name. You know, I'm
Covey. That's how I say
The
it.
Seven Habits of Highly Successful People. And that's like, oh, that like this personal development thing, like this is interesting. And Anthony Robbins. And it just kind of evolved from there, just from my own, and then throughout the years, deeper and fuller, and Abraham Hicks, and um, I mean just on and on as my own curiosity grew. Um, and I'm like, yeah, there's power in this. And I 100% believe that we have the power to create the life that we want based on how we think and feel.
Hmm.
Um,
We're about the same age. And so I remember I was in my early 20s, kind of learning about coaching and feeling drawn to it, and then saying, like, who's going to listen to me? Like, I'm just
mm.
like this young girl. I don't know. Did you have that experience at all?
So I wasn't starting to coach yet. Um, through my dance background, and I did taught yoga, Pilates, which I still do. I was coming at it actually more from a health perspective. So I'd gather people together and teach a yoga, but I realizing that I don't think I was super aware, like consciously aware, but I was really incorporating energy and journaling and just incorporating the things little by little. And then as I learned more, I'm like, oh yeah, this is how I can really help. But it was connected to the almost the fitness and health aspect,
Yeah, that makes
and
sense.
then it spirals up to your mind and how you're being. Um,
So fast forward me to when you decided to write your book and kind of make this a business.
yeah, so I was, let's see, I'm trying to tap in for just a moment. Um, I have a phase of, I do kind of my life in phases and chapters. And there
Yes.
was a phase where I was not married. And so that was a big phase after 20 some years of being married, my whole adult life, that this next phase was my biggest experience of personal growth, personal development, understanding, deep work, shedding off all that's not me. So I mean that there was 3.5 really, really juicy years. And during that time, I was leading a small group, doing private coaching, and wrote this journal that went along with what I was teaching. So they had something that they were experiencing with the journal prompts. It's Ignite Your Abundance, a journal to manifest love. And I know that just journal, just journal. People are like, I need prompts. I don't know what to say. So that's how the beginning of it is. And then I thought, you know what, this is so great. I do want to publish it and publish it on my 50th birthday, earlier last year. So that's how the book came to play. But the more important thing is like what I was doing in my life, that I was experiencing manifestation and how I was going about it, where I really feel like I've nailed it. Like I'm embodying it. Like it's one thing to hear something, and it's another thing when you feel it, when you have that moment of like, oh, now I'm getting it. So may I share what that looked like?
Yes, please.
All right. So during this chapter, the Finding Krista chapter of my life, I I knew that I wanted to wait to invite a new person, a new man into my life when I had hit a couple of key objectives. I wasn't ready to be the person that I wanted to have a partner with, I wanted to attract yet. So I was very intentional about not partnering, just plain, but not partnering, right? There's a big difference between having somebody who now has influence over your life. And I got to a point where I was like, all right, I think I'm ready. I journal all the time. It's like, oh, I've hit this objective. I've hit this. I'm feeling like this is the time. It's about 3.5 years of focusing on me. It's like, all right, I'm ready. I'm in no hurry, right? The universe does not respond to our time demands. So I was like, I'm in no hurry. However, I'm ready to start calling it in. And so a couple of big things that I did, journaling, but not just journaling, it's future casting. When I future cast right in my journal, it is how I feel. It's not what does he drive or what is his job or how tall is he. It is how do I feel in the presence of this other human? What do we do together? What are those interactions like? What is fun? What is our day? But really tuning into the feeling of the emotions behind all of these things. And then to practice that, I did a couple of neat things that I call energetic dating. So when I
Mm.
get up and take a walk around the neighborhood, because I work from home, get up, take a walk, he would walk with me and we'd hold hands and I'd look at him and I'd laugh at his jokes and I'd feel his presence. And I just felt super lit up the way that I desire to feel with a partner. And the other thing that I did is when I'd go to bed at night, I'd imagine him behind me, just spooning me and just feel into the comfort and all of the emotions that came with that. And there were more, but those are like two really
I love that.
big things that I did on a regular basis. And so in that, I was not wanting, I wasn't like, I hope there's a guy out there. And I hope, there, and honestly, I'd hear from girlfriends, oh, there's no good men that live in this city. Oh, you know, you're in your 40s with two kids. Good luck finding a guy who wants that. Like anytime I'd hear, oh, this is about dating apps, which I never did, but every time I'd hear whatever, I'd think, you know what? I need one in a million, 1 in 2 billion. My one is there, and I'm not going
Mhm.
to play into these the odds of there's no good person in here or any of that.
How
So those
did
are a
you
couple
do
things I did.
that? How did you keep yourself in that energy state when these messages are coming at you?
The main thing is I recognize I didn't need it and I don't need it now. I don't need him, whoever him is. I didn't need him and I didn't need him now. And just to have fun with it. I was enjoying discovering Krista so much
Yeah.
that that was great. I didn't need to be rescued. I didn't need things to change. And so just having that really helped.
Mm. I
Um,
really relate to that. You met my partner, Alex, and we connected. And I had just decided I was taking myself off of dating apps. Like, I'm good. I had renovated my house to feel really good for me, and I felt comfortable in my skin. And like, I could actually just be like this. And it was as soon as I decided that he showed up in a particular way that I went, oh, wait, that's interesting. So, so I relate to that.
yeah, it's wonderful. But this when we talk about magic and the energy, it's pulling in when you can be the thing that's fun and light and the vibration of what you desire. That's what the attraction point is, not the hoping, wanting is never going to come. I don't know if I'm good enough. I don't know if I can play the odds. Like all of those energies is not the thing that attracts energetically the right person to you.
So I want to ask more about meeting Michael and that journey.
Mhm.
And how could someone who's listening apply that? Let's say they want clients or they want something else that they want to manifest into their life other than love. How could they apply some of these principles of future casting, energetic dating? Can you say more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. And just as you're saying that, it's a reminder to myself when it comes to business to keep being the energy of the things you like about it most.
Mm.
And when we
Oh,
kind of
wait,
get
say that again.
be the energy of the thing you like about your business most. So instead of focusing on the
Good.
client that's being a real pain in the neck, or the ones that have just, canceled or like complaining or whatever the case may be, that we really keep our attention on how much we enjoy the clients or serving, and what's fun about that. How do we work? Oh, I really feel valuable. Like the things that we often teach become so second nature that we forget that they're valuable because it's so easy. It's like breathing. And to have those moments where you go, oh, wow, me just being me, sharing what I love to share, that's really bringing value to people. And isn't that fun? And how can I do more of that? How can I reach more people doing that? Isn't this lovely? We have to just
That
keep,
is so simple, but such good advice.
yes, because, and I'll be honest, I can find it easy sometimes to think the other thing. You're like, oh, I got to try the new thing. We get the new funnel and get the new whatever that's
So
like,
much to
figure it
do.
out. And like,
Yeah.
oh, I think I'm not being the energy of what I des
Yeah.
what I desire to have.
Yeah. In my work, we talk about being energy first.
Mhm.
And every single person I work with and myself would believe that, right? Like the energy goes before you and creates the path. And yet there's so much good advice out in the world that has nothing to do with energy, right? It's all about the doing or the
Mhm.
understanding or the strategy. And it's like, yes, and start with the energy. So I love that guidance.
Start with the energy. And so when Michael and when our paths did cross and we started comparing notes, I was sharing what I was doing to manifest. I was like, I've been very intentional about this. And he's like, wow, I have been very intentional about this too. And we're long distance at this point, but talking on, doing video chat and talking extensively, pulling up my notes and going, wow, I led an 11/11 manifestation day activation in my group, and led people through an activation to, like manifest what they want. I said that was the first time I was ready to call in romantic love, and that my intention for this, was romantic love. And I wrote notes. I wrote in my journal. He's like, oh, cool. I said, well, hang on, I'm going to go get it. So I go back and I get my journal and I flip to 11/11. I'm like, oh, said that I led this activation. I was like, where are my notes? And I flip back a couple of days. I go, oh, I think I was getting ready ahead of time. And I read this entire thing of how I wanted to feel, um, travel, great connection with my kids, all of these things. I said, oh, it's funny. I wrote it a couple of days early. I wrote it on 11/7, just kind of like threw that out there. And Michael said, Krista, that's my birthday. And so when I realized, I know I've said the story many times, but it's like the fact that I called in who I was looking for and happened to do it on his birthday. And we had never met face to face at this point. And then just a few months later, we're
Yeah. How'd you
we
meet?
start. We actually met at the same event that you and I met at the JVology Summit in Cabo. It's almost a week-long mastermind. It's a shorter mastermind, but people stay, to connect for longer. And actually, Michael and I had already known each other on Zoom through, a lot of you being in the same industry. I'd interviewed him, on a live, just like we're doing. And so we knew of each other, but because of COVID, there weren't events happening. And he's in California, I'm in Florida. So we just hadn't had a chance to spend face-to-face time together. So once we did, it happened all very fast because we actually did have a history of common friends, commonality in the work that we do, and in a lot of things. So it all jumped into play quickly.
Now, when you saw each other on Zoom initially, or you interviewed him, like, was there any spark there? Did you have any
Just
clue?
thought he was a super nice guy. I was like, oh, I remember thinking this guy's got amazing blue eyes. But that's it. I wasn't in a place for it to be on my radar. There were just, things that
Yeah.
it hadn't landed for me. But through this, seeing each other online, that's how Michael noticed me. And he's like, ooh, I'm interested, and started asking Jay, our mutual friend, more about me and reaching out more. All of a sudden, he's participating in my Facebook group and like doing all my challenges and showing up, which is pretty cute.
I love it. It's like, how do you, have gotten the advice of to find clients or meet clients? Like, you go buy their stuff and get in their group and show up and be there. So he was applying that strategy to landing Krista.
Right, exactly. Exactly. I was leading coaching calls and I'm like, oh, because he's more of a JV partner than he would be a student. And I was like, well, that's so nice. He's showing up in the coaching call. He doesn't really need to. Now I know why.
Amazing. Is there
Yeah.
anything else you want to share about? So you're meeting in person, like, how did you come to know this was for you?
I mean, I will give Michael all the credit for having the vision. He's the one who got the heart hit that this
Mm.
relate that I was worth pursuing. I didn't see it at first. He's a little older than me. There's just a couple of things that I was like, wasn't my obvious thing. Um, but it's easy to look back and know that my soul figured it out before my head did, just in that
Mm.
week that we were spending time together. I have never felt so fully
Mm.
me and seen and fully self-expressed and happy as I did in his energy.
Mm.
And what made this so continues to make it such a beautiful relationship is that I do feel the fullest version of myself which is like the goal to continue expanding is there. And he holds this beautiful safe container with so much confidence. He has full confidence in himself to give me the space to do all that I can. And I've been in relationships before where a man can get, or a partner can get a little insecure for people who are bright and shiny. I'm bright and shiny
Mm.
in the world, and it can be like, ooh, that could be dangerous. If she's too bright, I need to, might want to like reel her
Yes.
back, keep her where I know that I've got daughter
Yes.
under here. And I don't feel that at all. I really feel the opposite around Michael. And
Mm.
it's really beautiful.
I'm guessing there are people listening who can relate, and probably every woman anyway, has had the experience of dimming themselves to make someone else comfortable.
Right. It can even happen with our parents, right? Our
Yeah.
parents and loved ones will want us to stay small, to stay safe,
Mm.
because they see doing the unusual thing or the big thing.
Yes.
It's danger out there. And even though
Yes.
they love us completely, it's their own fears that can keep us small.
Yes. So I'm imagining somewhere in your list of what you were calling in, there was some lifestyle pieces.
Mm.
When I think of you and I think of Michael and I think of what I know you're building for yourselves and for your clients, I think it's a lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to summarize and then you correct me. How do we do things we love with people we love, have adventures, have connection, and, have it all work within the context of business? How do you think about it?
Oh gosh. Um, well, so between the two of us, there's a lot of communication, but even, if someone's not in partnership and you're like, how do I create more freedom or we really look at creating a business that mixes in the lifestyle that you actually want. For those that are an entrepreneur of some sort or creating their own business, if you keep using that same mentality that you maybe learned in corporate or that you just kind of get into, I've got to work all the time, that we just create a job for ourselves, working more hours for less money, and now we've got a job and all of these restrictions. So it's about keeping the vision of what's fun and what feels free or what feels light, what feels good to you. Keep that on the forefront. Keep asking yourself those questions and then taking action to create a daily and weekly and monthly lifestyle that accommodates that. For example, if you love travel and you go, well, I'd like to do 3 big trips a year. Well, how do you plan that? Or maybe it's I want to be gone once a month, 1 week a month, then you can easily do that. We, for example, only see clients, like our calendar links and our client calls are only the first 3 months, sorry, the first 3 weeks of every month. So the fourth week
Yeah.
is flex. And we hold them to Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So we have Monday and Friday. It doesn't mean we're not working. It just means that we can deep dive on what we're doing. And by managing the amount of hours that you're giving to somebody else, really can create a lot of freedom.
I love
So
that.
that's, I guess you're looking at planning, intention, scheduling, and then keep bouncing that into a bigger vision.
I'm thinking about when during COVID, my main offer was a certification program. And
Mhm.
previously I had been like dabbling in it. I had piloted it a couple times and it had live retreats and it had different things. And um, so I moved to all virtual and I was having weekly classes, like everything I wanted to teach without having the retreats. It was like we really needed the time to practice the skills. So I taught weekly for 3.5 years. And Krista, like from the beginning of my business, I always had a week off, like you're saying. And it's amazing how that weekly demand started to really wear on me. So, it's so important that people stop and say, like, what's my energy like? What's my
Mhm.
desire? And I feel
Sharing that
like,
with your clients too, like share that intentionality with your clients. We do.
yes,
Like, hey, if you'll notice on the schedule, we have our member calls on weeks 1, 2, and 3, but you'll never find them on week 4. It's a flex week,
yes.
and this is why. And then they're like, oh, it starts planting the seed for them as well.
Yeah, because they want that too.
Mhm.
Yes. I feel like we could have a unique conversation around the difference between doing that single versus doing that in relationship.
Mm.
And I think for me, being single, am I ha have been more willing to like cross my own boundaries.
Mhm.
And being in partnership, I feel more um, inflexible about my boundaries, like more committed to the space.
Oh, that's nice.
I don't
That's
know
just
if you
great
see
to have a
that.
partner who's on board, right? Because what it
Yeah.
could be if someone feels like you haven't created this yet and you're still working too much and you have goals to shift to create a freedom lifestyle and you are in partnership, you need to get the partner on board too and figure out how to coordinate that together in something that appeals to both of you, whether it's both traveling or saying, I'm going to travel on this part. And if you don't want to, that's
Yeah.
fine too. But this is my intention and what I'm aiming for. But once you're on board with that plan, then yeah, I actually like what you're saying. It's a because now you're committed not just to what you said, but also what your partner wants. So does that give
Yes.
you more reason to stick to it?
I think so. And just, yeah, wanting more space for some of those things that maybe I wouldn't do on my own, which is interesting. I'm in California right now. I'm recording
Mhm.
from an Airbnb. I went by myself with my dog, because this is the life I want. And, he's not yet flexible to do that.
Mhm.
They just hired a new manager at his business, and so he's training someone new and wasn't able to get away. And like I'm doing this for the future of holding the space of this is what we do in the winter in
Yeah.
Colorado. We leave.
Leave. That's what we're figuring out in Florida in the summer, we leave. So we're
Exactly.
having those conversations on reverse seasons. Uh, yes, I absolutely it's about seeing or feeling into what feels fun. To me, I really enjoy traveling and I enjoy having those in-person connections when I go
Mm.
places, to go to the live event, to host a retreat. So sometimes we're hosting, sometimes we're attending, whether we're
Yeah.
speaking or just there supporting a friend or learning on our own. That in-person piece is really important to me. It fuels me because
Yes.
when we're home working from home, it's kind of, you know, it's like we're like a 0 to 100. It's like home is just home, and then when we're out, we're like doing so many things.
Yes.
Um,
I love I use affiliate marketing in my work mainly because then I need to travel. So when we're talking about lifestyle and freedom and travel and the things that light you up, what I've observed is you and Michael have these things built in to what you offer. So I'm registered to come with you on your podcasters cruise in November. I'm really excited about that. And then I know you all do summer in Italy and host retreats over there. So can you talk a little bit about that?
yeah, I would love to. So they're two completely different experiences. It's called the Podcaster's Cruise, but I like to lead with a caveat that it is for coaches, speakers, podcast hosts, and guests. So it's not exclusively, you don't have to have a podcast exclusively to attend because a lot of people enjoy them. It's about getting your message out or being a guest. Anyway, it is an incredible week-long experience where we really blend vacationing, experiencing so many like fun things in life, from great food and music and dancing and then of course being on the islands, all of these wonderful things while in this container of being a part of an event where we're facilitating great connection, creating space for people as leaders to share what they're best at. And then throughout the week, these beautiful conversations are happening where we're not only learning, but implementing and making adjustments in our business, and learning from one another to really up level, getting your message out in the world, and then monetizing both podcasting, speaking, all of those things.
How is it different for someone to blend vacation with eventing versus just going to an event?
I really, and not to dive into it too heavily, but I do believe that there's a mindset shift that is necessary for some people to understand and embody the value of investing in yourself to show up to be at the live event. And the ones who don't do it, or if you're feeling like, oh, I don't want to spend the money, I can't be gone for a week, or I can't be gone for 5 days to do this. If you're just so dialed in on whatever the excuse is, right? And believe me, we've got a ton of excuses, whether it's money or time or the kids, or I don't deserve it, or my spouse can't go, so I shouldn't go. All of those things. That's where I really would invite people to dive in and shift that and go, there is so much more that happens when we say yes to ourselves and yes to being a part of an experience that is big and beautiful and adventurous, and there's unknown because you're meeting other people and being open to the outcomes of that experience, where it's not like, oh, I hope I can learn A, B, and C. If I get these three tactics and then I can get three clients, then it's worth it. That's very like tit for tat. Or if I
Yes.
pay you this, I want to make sure I can get exactly 2.5 clients to pay me back for that. We're really missing the point. And it's causing restriction, and It's not
Mm.
a space of magic, but when we open up and say yes to the
Yeah.
magic, that's when the
Yeah,
fun.
I'm thinking of um, you took it to we should go to events, like the basic thought process, right? Never mind like the cruises, vacation, and it's like really trusting yourself to get in a room and connect
Mhm.
with people and allow magic to show up. What's some magic that you've had happen because you've traveled?
Oh my gosh, my mind goes to so many things. One thing that might seem seemingly insignificant, but means a lot to me. During our podcast cruise, we host a talent show.
Mm.
And it's not, some people do karaoke night, but we really do a talent show and let our attendees, whether they sing or dance, poetry, stand-up comedy, um, kung fu. I mean, seen all sorts of amazing things, but there's something so beautiful to me about giving people a space to self-express.
Mhm.
And we might be coming in to the event because, oh, I want to launch a podcast, or I have one and I want to do it better, or you've got this kind of like business agenda for why you're there. And then as you relax into it, and you're like, so I dance. It's what I did. I don't get to dance in front of people anymore. This is an opportunity, and it just lights me up to no end to be able to just be on that stage and for people to see that version of me, because that's like, to me, that's my truest self. Like, I get
Mm.
emotional just thinking about it. And I know that that's other people too. We have amazing people that come on the cruise that are former Broadway performers that are getting to sing again. And those that just, stand up sounds like it's so much fun, and they're like taking a big personal risk to just get out there and do it. So having these moments of true self-expression where we can see each other for who we really are, and applaud not just the fact that it was good, but applaud the fact that you did it. You just put yourself out there and you took the risk to be seen and appreciated.
Mm.
That's really special.
I'm imagining people find connections through shared expressions that they didn't know they had.
Exactly. Exactly. These are the magic that happens when you get together in person and you're there beyond just sitting in the room attending a conference, and then you leave and come back for day two and leave again. Then again, we're back to just like learning a skill, or oh, we exchange business cards. Well, I'm gonna do a follow-up Zoom. Like, it's so much more than that. It really is. Yeah, it's a human to human experience, and what comes
Yeah.
from that is beautiful.
And if you put yourself in the right rooms, right, versus like I remember going to BNI when I first started out, and you've got your 30 seconds to figure out the thing that's going to make people want to refer you. And then going into a space where it's heart-centered
Yeah.
and people maybe are beyond grasping,
Mhm.
right? And really trusting that the universe is providing and you'll meet the right people. It's really, really special.
Yes. So I'll tell you another example, and this happened on our Italy. We call it the Freedom Lifestyle Retreat and Mastermind. And we rent a villa in Tuscany. So it's a very small, intimate group that comes together. And these two clients in particular came in, and they've been working with this like a business coach that's like on fire. They're traveling here, they're getting the book done, they're getting this done, like they're on deadlines, and you could just see they're just like in this mode. And they get to Italy, and I'm like having their welcome reception. I'm like, so we'll meet tomorrow. Like, okay, so tomorrow, 5 o'clock. What time is that exactly? And I was like, oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Guess what? We're going to put the phone down. We're going to step away from the calendar, and you're going to spend this whole week just being. And I'll just give you a guidance. Hey, we're going to leave in an hour. Or like, there'll be a little heads up. You're not going to need to look at the clock the whole time. And that's a big
Mind blowing.
mind blowing. And a few days in, one of the ladies came up to Michael and said, yes, we're learning this and that, we're masterminding, we're getting all these things done. But she's like, what is meaning the most to me? She said, I'm a single woman. I have the weight of everybody, my kids, my grandkids, my business. I do everything all the time. She's like, I didn't realize how much I did until you held that for me, talking to Michael, and allowed me just to be. And I feel safe. I feel supported. I feel like the agendas, like you're taking care of the things. And I'm in this new space of creativity and play and appreciation. And that shift is hard to write on a, hey, come to Italy Mastermind because you're going to 10x your business. Like, people want to hear these things
Yes.
that feel like, oh, I'm going to get my investment back. But it's these moments of like, oh, when you feel something and you're able to shift
Mhm.
your being by having that experience, that's what's worthwhile. That's where the magic is. And that's what's going to carry you forward
Yeah.
on and on because you're now someone new.
Yeah. It's sort of like explaining transformation, right? Which is like trying to tell someone how to ride a bike, and you can't know it until you experience it.
Yeah.
And when it comes to that kind of transformation that can happen on retreat, it, we've all been brought up in the culture of sell them what they want, give them what they need, right? And I've always felt a little resistant to that idea because we're assuming people can't choose what's good for them.
Mm,
And yet we do. We often don't choose what's good for us. We know, oh, I should slow down, or I need more space, or I really want freedom, or I really want to take this time off. And then people keep not doing it.
right.
So it is a tricky thing. And I really honor you for taking a stand for people to have that freedom because
Mm,
it feels so good when we realize we really can create whatever we want.
right. And I
And it's
know
hard
you've
to
experienced,
explain.
right. I know as a retreat leader, you've experienced this many times, even when you come with intention, which I always say, come with intention, but don't be attached to it because the transformation that's going to happen, it's going to be the one that's ready to happen. And it may not be the one you expected. And that's okay too.
Yeah. And Krista, it takes a lot of personal development, one retreat leader to another, to be
Mhm.
able to hold the space for that
Yeah.
as the leader, to not be attached to someone's intention or someone's outcome, but to really know and trust with every cell in your being that they'll get exactly what they came for. And that's
Yes.
magic.
It really is. It really is. It's beautiful. I thoroughly love inviting people into that. And again, just knowing if anybody's if you're hearing this and it's speaking to you, but there's this element of, oh, well, I'll do it next year, or oh, when the kids move out, or oh, when it's just too much, I don't know if I can, then that's your big cowbell. It's a big cowbell dinging going. I want you to reprioritize or take a deeper look at how you value how you
Yeah.
value money, how you value time, and what you really think is possible. Are
Yeah.
you worthy? Are you ready to invite in something so beautiful into your life if you just said yes?
Mm. I'm really present to how you haven't let any of those things stop you, and you're creating such a beautiful life.
Yeah, I thank you. Thank you for saying that, and thank you for seeing that. I have absolute moments in that last chapter where it was, a start over, my commitment to my kids and to traveling with them. Like I like there are no excuses. I'm going to just whether they get it now or not, I'm committed to them having other experiences. And those every trip that we do together with my kids. Like to me, that's where the memories are made. That's where the
Yeah.
lessons are taught. There's so much that happens there. And I'm so grateful that it was like come hell or high water, I'm making this happen. Even
Love
though
that.
from the outside it would look like, oh, again, is there enough money, enough time, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, this is it. This is happening. And I made it happen. And quite a few times during those years. So
I love that. That's so
yeah.
beautiful. So, Krista, you have a gift that is around manifesting 6 ways to shift your state. Can you talk about that? We'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah, thanks, Darla. Um, I will tell you about that. And I also, am moments away, as soon as we wrap up here, putting the finishing touches on another lead magnet that's all about freedom lifestyle. So I'll be
Oh,
happy
nice.
that one as
Okay,
well
we can add
too.
that in.
Yes. Uh, the the 6 secrets to shift your state is it's a quick, easy workbook, and I follow it up with a video that you can watch. And I recorded the video at the villa in Tuscany. So I was so
Mm,
inspired by the beauty of the location. I was like, all right, we all have the ability to shift our state to lead with the magic, as we talked about earlier
mhm.
in this interview. We have to be the one that leads with the magic to be the driver of our own life to manifest what we want. And yet, real life comes into place, and we can get heavy or frustrated or small, or the story of what we don't have gets to be louder than what we want. So it takes us a state shift to
Yes.
like, all right, like shock treatment, but less radical. And so I'm just sharing 6 relatively easy things that you can do when you're like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling I'm not manifesting what I want. And here's what to do. So that's what that
Mm,
gift is.
thank you. Thank you.
Mhm.
And then they'll be able to get on your email list and hear all about Italy. Anything else you want to say? Any invite you want to put out for people?
Um, well, yeah, so as I mentioned, I've got something brand new called the Freedom Lifestyle um, Planner. And so the Freedom Lifestyle Planner is a guide, almost like journal prompts. It's going to help you
Mm,
I ask you the questions, and you're kind of writing out, what do I want? What does an ideal life look like? How do I get there? What's getting in my way? So you can just go through that and start shifting and feeling into, how do I get to that yes for me with more confidence? And in that, I share with you the Podcasters Cruise, the Freedom Lifestyle in Tuscany, and there's a couple other events that Michael and I are co-leading that are mentioned there too. So yeah,
beautiful. I have
join
so
us.
many chills. That feels like it's going to be really great. I can't wait to get it. And we'll add it in as soon as we get it in below
Perfect.
this video.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Krista.
you.
Thank you for who you are. I'm so grateful you said yes to being here and sharing your journey and your wisdom. And thank you, everyone, for listening. And we'll see you in the next episode. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right.